Look at this pretty picture. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is Dumoine River, Dumoine in Canada, I believe. And look at those rapids. Look at those. Is that crazy or what? And if you look to the left, you will see something blue and white, and that is Ken Whiting. Ken Whiting has two channels. One is called Paddle TV. The other one is called Ken Whiting Adventures. And this was one of his adventure videos. I took a picture of this because I really was digging the rapids. And also, if I'm not mistaken, this is a Sea Eagle inflatable kayak that is, I want to say 14.2, but I'm not sure. 14 feet, 2 inches, I think. But if you look real close, you'll see, to the left, you'll see something blue and white, and he's right there in the middle of all those rapids. Ken Whiting is, he's my buddy. I adore him. He's just a sweetheart. He is an author. He is an instructor. He is a whitewater expert. He did the Lake Superior by himself for several days, kayaking. That is a feat in itself because, yes, Lake Superior is called a lake, but it behaves like an ocean. It is very, very, very deep, and it is very, very, very aggressive. Okay? It's dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. It's dangerous if you get caught in a storm or severe wind. It's not playing, okay? And he did it by himself single-handedly. However, he always wears a life jacket. That goes without saying. And, what else? He had a satellite thingy that is not reliant on the internet, obviously, right? And he can call for help if he needs it. He's got a bilge pump on. I think he had a bilge pump on board. Well, that's got scuppers, which is what a sit on top has. I've never seen an inflatable kayak with scupper holes, which means the water comes in but it drains out. He is the bomb.com. Man, if you're ever scared on the water, he's the guy you want to be with. He's the man. And one thing I love about him, and I'll kind of get to my topic in a minute, but one thing I love about him is he's super educated, super smart. He has 2 successful YouTube channels that are doing very well. And despite his 30 plus years of knowledge on the water, canoeing, kayaking, safety, you name it, he knows all about it. He's the most humble person you'd ever meet. Super humble, never braggadocious, never arrogant, never cocky. Even in his body language, he's very super chill. He's got a wife and a daughter. I'm not sure how old. I can't remember how old his daughter is, but he's just a great dude. Anyway, we love you, Ken. All right, so I watched Dr. Orna today. ORNA. She's a psychotherapist and super educated. Super educated, super smart. And I think that anybody who's especially had a long-term relationship, married or not, it doesn't matter. But she counsels people that aren't married. They're just in, relationships or married. And I see a common thread that if you've ever been in a long-term relationship, you're going to experience this as well. One of them is anger and resentment. That always builds and builds and builds and builds. And it's very, very difficult once you reach a certain plateau of anger and resentment. then your partner shuts down, and there is nothing, or you both shut down, and there's nothing that can be done at that point easily. I mean, by the time people go to therapy, oh my God, there's so much that has to be unpacked. And the anger, oh my God, the dirty looks, the anger, the pursing of the lips, tight lips, you know, arms folded, legs folded away from the partner, sitting a mile away from your partner on the same couch. Wow. And a common thread I see too is, and this isn't everybody's scenario, okay? I'm not putting everybody in the same, you can't, right? Nobody, everybody has their own thing going on. But women have a tendency to hold on to anger forever. And she can be, oh my God, vicious, doesn't even scratch the surface. And once that builds, it ain't going no damn where. And she could sneeze and he says, God bless you. And she's like, whatever. I mean, like, whoa. And when you have that level of anger and or resentment, it's basically, and this is my interpretation of it, it's basically like the roots of a tree. You see the tree and it in all of its glory, but there's a whole lot that you don't see that's under the ground, and those are the roots that stabilize the tree. And our emotions are pretty much the same way, and our life experience is pretty much the same way as well. We have our emotions on the top, but there's roots underneath that we have to get to the roots in order to find out what's really going on. Okay? So it's easy to go psychoballistic about you left the top off of the toothpaste and you didn't wash the dishes after I asked you to repeatedly. Although men have a tendency to shut women out. And then she says it 10 times and then, you're nagging me because you didn't listen the first and second time. So she had to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And now you consider it nagging, but you didn't listen the first time. So that's an issue. Okay. That doesn't help reduce people's anger and resentment. All right. Just telling you. What a lot of people may or may not realize is a lot of why you feel the way you do and why you react the way you do is rooted in your childhood. A lot of it. Women have special considerations when it comes to certain things because almost all girls have been violated in some way, physically or touched or flirted with by a grown person or looked at in a way that a grown person doesn't look at a kid. You don't look at a kid like that, but apparently some do. You look at a grown woman like that, but you don't look at a kid like that. I mean, we've all, almost all young ladies have been through some type of violation to our bodies. And because, and I'm not saying that's the case with, obviously not every woman on her show that she's counseling, but that's not an uncommon thread. That's not an uncommon thread. And then the woman that kind of creeps into her relationship, that kind of creeps into her marriage, and she's turned off all of a sudden. It seems to be out of left field. She's turned off by sex. I don't want you touching me. Why are you such a pervert? Why do you always want to have sex? What is wrong with you? Maybe you're a sex addict. What? When in reality, it may not have anything to do with her partner. It may have a lot to do with her experiences as a kid. I've seen that time and time and time again. A lot of girls get shamed because she's a girl. and attacked. Why is your bra strap showing? Fix your bra strap. Why is your skirt so short? You should wear a slip with that dress. And I get it. We used to wear slips with her. I still wear it depending on the type of dress I'm wearing. But women get, your cleavage is showing. We get, instead of guys being told you need to respect everybody, female or not, you need to respect people and don't be gawking at girls. The girls are the ones that get attacked. You're the one wearing a short dress. You're the one with your bra strap showing. Why is your cleavage out? So let's shame the women, the girls, and never address the boys. How well is that working in our society? It's not, okay? It needs to be a two-way street. Yes, tuck your bra in, but your bra strap in, but at the same time, a guy doesn't need to think that, well, since you're showing it to me, I could touch it or try to grab your boobs or something. A lot of us have been violated. I was touched by a guy who we kind of grew up together, spent a lot of time together growing up. He's supposedly gay. And we would play wrestle when we were younger, and he'd accidentally, quotation marks, get a handful of boob. And I didn't know he was gay at the time. I'm a kid. I don't even know what gay is. I don't know what that means even. But then as an adult, I'm thinking, why the hell would you do that if you're gay? Unless he was, I don't know, bi-curious or something. I don't know, but he did it on more than one occasion. We've all been violated. Almost all girls have been violated. And in some cases, boys have been violated too. And so even if it doesn't follow you into the bedroom, it could follow you so far as rage and anger that's deep, 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 deep in the ground. And sometimes people, when they go to therapy, they're resistant to getting to the bottom of it because they're like, that's the past. That's the past. I don't want to. How can I move forward if I'm stuck in the past? Now hold it right there. Hold it right there. My grandfather used to think that, and it's wrong. I love him. Grandpa, I love you dearly. May God bless you forever. But your past is why you are who you are today. Consciously or subconsciously. That is why you are who you are today. And sometimes that's a good thing, and a lot of times it's not, especially if you're in a relationship and you're having all these conflicts with people. If everybody got a beef with you, it's not them, baby. Okay? It's not them. You're the common denominator. We got to get to the bottom of it. And, if those childhood issues are not resolved, I'm trying to tell you, or issues with your parents, one parent might have been verbally abusive. You're never going to amount to anything. My God, you're a loser. Can't you think straight for 2 seconds? What is wrong with you? This is the kind of crap that follows people into the relationships. And then when their partner says something that's not even nowhere near as venomous, like, I thought I asked you not to throw your socks on the floor. Why are you always nagging me? Oh my God, what is your problem? Blah. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's a overreaction, right? But that could also be hyper defensiveness because you were always treated like that growing up, and it formed and shaped you into a person who's hyper defensive. So no matter what a person says, and no matter how they say it, you still take it personally, which is going to cause you major problems in relationships, obviously. I feel a better way to say, why do you always throw your socks on the floor? A better way to say that, we don't always say things the proper way, right? We're human. But a better way to say it would be, I feel unheard when I ask you not to do that and it continuously happens. I feel like I'm not being heard. And that really bothers me. That really upsets me. Now, can we keep our cool like that when we're mad? Not always. Okay. One way that you can is to take a deep breath and not react right away. Because if you react right away, you're going to react in a negative way. You're going to be potentially mean and hateful. because you're not taking a breath. You're almost holding your breath in stressful situations. A lot of times we hold our breath, which depletes our brain of oxygen. Your brain cannot function without oxygen, and then you're irrational. You're like a tiger that just got let out of its you know I don't know what it's called, cage or whatever. You're running loose and you're out of control. And a lot of times on the same vein as how we grew up, we bring that into our adulthood. On the same vein, we end up marrying someone who was just like our parent. I'm gonna let that sink in. So then what happens? You have PTSD, right? Possibly. Or hypersensitivity around certain things because you grew up with that crap, right? So then when your partner does it, it whips those emotions from back then, whips them into the future, into the present, and your reaction may not be a normal reaction. It may be tight lips, teeth bared, and the other person's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? I just asked you to do one simple thing. What are you flipping out for? And now you're both flipping out. You end up marrying someone just like your parent. And I realized, oh my God, I realized years and years ago that I did. Emotionally unavailable. Well, I was married twice. The first one was emotionally overseas. I was in America. His emotions were probably across the pond. Okay. It was like I'd have to light a match to him in order to get him to feel something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to result in a strong relationship. I can't make you tap into something that's not there, or something that's suppressed. You were, I don't know, maybe it was taught from a little kid, you're to be seen and not heard. I don't know. That stems from something. And it never works in your relationship, especially if you don't make a concerted effort to work on it. Right? And then the second one was a malignant narcissist. Chronic cheater. Instant anger out of nowhere. When I'm trying to have a normal discussion with you, you going straight to the crazy page. And then I end up screaming, depending on the situation, I end up screaming so hard that my throat hurts. My neck is seized up, the muscles in my neck are seized up, and my throat's hurting from screaming. But, those behaviors, that was the sperm donor. That was his behavior. The so-called father. That was him 1000%. Emotionally, nowhere to be seen. Unless he was having anger, because he thinks that being a parent, you're supposed to be angry all the time. And when you discipline, you're supposed to be like a drill sergeant, because he's too stupid to realize there's a whole lot more to being a parent than being a drill sergeant. In fact, you shouldn't be a drill sergeant with kids because you scare them and intimidate them. Dumb ass. Ugh! Anyway, so I ended up with people just like him. Emotionally unavailable and narcissist. And I will break, it's every day is an effort to break the pattern. I don't date. I don't meet people. I avoid people. When I see guys looking at me like, oh, hey, I deliberately don't make eye contact with them because I don't want them. And I damn sure don't smile because I don't need you thinking that I want you trying to mac me, because I don't. Because I already know what you want, and I'm not giving that up. No. They always want to hit it first. Always. Now, if you don't give it to him and emotions eventually creep in against his will, that's something he had no control over. But yeah, initially his meat is talking to him, and he can't think straight and he starts acting stupid. Anyway, But yeah, your past creeps into your future. Guys can marry somebody just like their mother. If that's good or bad, don't know. Women can marry somebody just like their father. That could be good or bad, don't know. Just depends, right? But for people who are no longer in that relationship or marriage, you can look back, not always, but a lot of times your partner had traits of your one of your parents. So the way you break that is to, when you're dating, you notice that early, and you make up your mind, oh no, nope, we're not doing that. You know, somebody being critical right out the gate. Like I told you before, there was a lady that went on a date with the guy first time going out with him. And what does he fix his mouth to say? He looks in a magazine. They were at a bookstore. He looks in a magazine and says, you would look good with a short hairstyle. Excuse you, brother? If she wanted a short hairstyle, she'd have a short hairstyle. That's her choice, not yours. And she don't even know you. You're not her man where you would make a suggestion like that. You just met her. You better go sit down somewhere. You lost your mind up in here. Okay? You lost your mind up in here. But yeah, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. That has to be nipped in the bud. If it doesn't get nipped in the bud, it becomes a volcano, and it erupts, and then the other person shuts down because you're going ballistic, and they're like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? What do you mean what's wrong with me? I've been mad at you for the past 10 years. We can't let it get to that point, right? We have to address it now and today, preferably. And before we go to bed, let's address it in a calm way. And if we're both too heated to talk about it, we need to separate from each other and get our own me time so we can calm down and then talk about it in a rational way without you always and I'm sick and tired of. That's, people don't respond well to that. They respond better to, it hurts my feelings when I don't feel heard. I get frustrated when this repeatedly happens, as opposed to you're breaking out the verbal ammunition and you're going to break them down. That's not gonna make people warm up to you. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, love you guys. Take care. Much love. Bye.